So lately, there's been a lot of talk on whether or not college football should expand the playoff from 12 to either 16 or 24 teams. The SEC and the Big Ten are in charge of this decision, and previously, the two commissioners of the leagues, Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, met, and Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, wanted a 16-team playoff, and Tony Petitti wanted a 24-team playoff, and they couldn't come to an agreement. So for 2026, we are going to have the 12-team playoff again. But as of last week, the rumblings of expanding the playoffs have started to pick up, and it seems as though a lot of SEC coaches actually want to expand to 24. And with that rumor, it seems as though a lot of people in the media, whether that be YouTube, TikTok, old school media like ESPN or Fox Sports or On3 or whatever, are very against them expanding the playoff. And I've been really thinking about why. They all say, most of the people that say that they're against expanding the playoff say that college football has a deep tradition in which the regular season really, really matters a lot. And in this video, I'm just going to say that that's sometimes true, but not always. I'll just use 2011 for an example. In 2011, we did not have a playoff at all. We had a BCS national championship game. And in that year, my team, LSU, finished the regular season undefeated. LSU went on the road in that season, and they beat the number 2 team in the country, Alabama, on the road. And then Alabama finished that season 11-1. And because a few teams were undefeated at the end of the regular season, but lost in their conference championship games, I believe Oklahoma State was the one that kind of decided things. Oklahoma State that year, I believe they lost to Iowa State in the Big 12 championship game because of the way it all shook out. LSU ended up having to play Alabama again for the BCS national championship game. And of course, LSU didn't cross the 50-yard line in that game, lost the game 21-0, and Alabama was the 2011 national champion. But the regular season, it matters so much, right? Well, in the instance of a one-game national championship, you would think, or at least I would, that if a team beats a team in the regular season that matters so much, that other team would now be eliminated from playing for the national championship. Because why would a team, if the regular season counts so much, beat a team in the regular season and then have to play them in literally not even a playoff, a one game for the national championship? That doesn't even make sense. So that point, in my opinion, is not really a valid one. So allow me to make the point that since, in my opinion, the regular season doesn't always matter nearly as much as people claim that it does. let me make the point to say that if they expanded the playoffs, the regular season wouldn't take a hit. Games wouldn't matter less. They would actually matter more. And here's what I'm trying to say. Let's say you expand the playoff to 24 teams. Now you have 24 teams that are going to make the playoff. Well, throughout the season, you're going to have maybe 30, 35, 40 teams, maybe even, that are actually in contention to make the playoffs throughout the season. I mean, all throughout this season, you're going to have fan bases of teams that feel like their school has a shot to make it to the college football playoff. And the more schools, the more teams that have a shot to make it to the playoff, the more fan bases will actually be engaged in the season. Let's use this as an example. Let's say you have a school. I'll just use LSU as the example because that's the school I root for, and I don't want to be biased. I don't want to give other schools losses, so I'll just give LSU losses, right? Let's say it's 2026. Okay. The first SEC game LSU plays in 2026, early on in the season, is Ole Miss. LSU opens the SEC play this year with Ole Miss. And let's say LSU loses the game to Ole Miss. And then a week or two later, they play Texas A&M. Those are two playoff teams from last year. And let's say LSU loses the game to Texas A&M. Now LSU has 2 losses. That pretty much eliminates LSU from the college football playoff discussion. So the entire LSU fan base at that point is checked out for the rest of the season. And LSU has a big fan base, and that goes for any other school, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan. Most of these schools don't really lose 2, 3, 4 games a year, whatever. A lot of these schools are only losing like 1 game a year. But let's throw in Michigan. Michigan, they're normally good for 2 or 3 losses, 3 or 4 losses. Let's throw in Clemson. Clemson lately under Dabo Swinney hasn't been as good as they were a few years ago when they were winning the ACC every year. But some of these schools, USC is another one. USC loses 3, 4 games a year. And a lot of these schools have huge fan bases. So if there was a 24-team playoff and you could have 3 or 4 losses and potentially 4 losses and still make the playoff, these fan bases would not lose interest in the games. You know, you'll have a game in November where 2 teams with 3 losses are playing each other, and that game really matters because those teams are both still alive to make the playoffs. Or you have 2 teams with one's undefeated and one has 1 loss, and they're playing late in the season, and that game really matters because they're fighting for a higher seed for a home game in the playoffs. Because with the expansion to 24 teams, the proposal is that there will be a lot more games on college campuses, home games for these teams. So you would have a lot more teams and a lot more fan bases that are actually paying attention to college football, actually watching the games each and every weekend because they're still alive to play for something that matters late into the season. But as of now, in November, you might have, it's 12 teams, you might have 16 or 18 teams that are actually alive for the playoff. For the most part, it's been decided. At least 8 or 10 of the 12 have already been decided because they're either undefeated or have one loss, and we kind of know who's going to make the playoffs. But if it was 24 teams, well, then now you're bringing a lot more teams into the fold. A lot more teams with 2 or 3 losses have a chance to make the playoff at the end of the year. And as we've seen, teams that barely make it, with like Miami last year, have like a real shot to win a national championship. Like let's say you take 2025. Texas and Notre Dame both missed the playoffs. And if you ask me, both Texas and Notre Dame could have made the similar run that Miami made to the national championship game. I don't see why not. Both of those teams, I mean, Notre Dame was a really good team last year. They just so happened to lose 2 games, and they got left out. They missed the playoff. You know, Texas was they were as hot as anybody at the end of the season last year. They beat Texas A&M, who was undefeated. If they would have made the playoffs, maybe they get in and they make some noise. Vanderbilt went 10-2 last year. It'd be awesome to have a team like Iowa in the playoffs who always has a great defense. It would be awesome to not have to leave anyone out because we have to include a group of 5 school or 2 group of 5 schools. Personally, I just don't understand why anyone that says they're a fan of college football thinks it's a bad idea to have more college football to watch. I mean, more college football is better than less college football. Like, more money is better than less money, right? Like, I mean, to me, it's honestly, it's amusing, the logic that some people are using, and you know what it is that I don't really understand. Somehow I know that people want things that benefit them. Most people are inherently selfish, and they claim that they're not. That's the thing. Is people are claiming, well, this is not what's best for college football. Well, how do you know what's best for the sport? You don't. But to me, what's best for the fans is what actually matters. Because the fans are the ones watching. The fans are the ones that pay the big ticket prices to go to these games. The fans are the ones that are watching these games on television, that are creating the revenue to pay the players. Let's do what's best for the fans. And of course, the fans at Alabama or the fans at Ohio State or the fans at Georgia, they don't really care if the playoff is 12 teams or 24 teams. It doesn't matter to them because they're making it anyway. But let's think about the fans from Florida. Let's think about the fans from Tennessee. Let's think about the fans from Iowa. Let's think about the fans from Southern Cal. And these schools and their fan bases would have something to play for later into the season. It honestly, it just blows my mind, and I'm really confused by it. To me, it's very obvious that expanding the playoff is a really good thing. It's going to create more revenue, so more rev share opportunity, so the players can eventually make even more money than they're already going to make. I mean, more games for the fans to watch, a more interesting postseason. Somebody tell me where I'm wrong here, please. I would really love to hear a well thought out argument for why expanding past 12 teams is a bad idea, and not, well, it's not good for college football. Explain why it's not good for college football. Explain it thoroughly. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. I'm out.